The second year of my arranged marriage to the story's hero, who hated my guts, he complained to his friends that I was too controlling. So I let go. The live comments said he'd met his destined omega. Silently, I handed him the divorce papers. Everyone said I'd be the one to regret it. But someone else was the one panicking. The second you drop the leash, it's not the master who panics, it's the puppy. As an ordinary beta, I have an S-class alpha husband who's 6 years younger than me. 2 years into our marriage, I still liked him, and he still hated me. At 6 p.m., I sat at the dinner table right on time, eating my meal. My legal husband came downstairs, a motorcycle helmet tucked under one arm. His footsteps were heavy and loud, thump, 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 urgent and impatient, as if he couldn't stand being in the same room with me and was desperate to escape. Just as he reached the front door, I called out to him. Billy looked back at me. He was wearing the black jacket and cargo pants I'd picked out for him, his dark hair sticking up defiantly. He glared at me. I'm meeting my friends for drinks. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. You shouldn't drink on an empty stomach, I said. Come eat something first. His bowl and chopsticks were already on the table. Billy walked over but didn't sit down. He shoveled a few bites of food into his mouth, then threw his chopsticks down, ready to leave. I tapped the table and pushed a freshly filled bowl of pork rib soup toward him. Finish your soup. Billy's brow furrowed. I don't want it, he said coldly. He turned and walked away. My hand faltered for a second before I pulled the soup bowl back. At the door, Billy couldn't resist glancing back. I must have looked a little sad, holding the bowl and sipping the soup with my head down. My oversized sleeve had slipped, revealing a few bite marks on my pale wrist that he'd left the night before. He clicked his tongue, strode back in a few steps, and snatched the bowl from my hands, downing it in one gulp. Happy now? Billy slammed the empty bowl down, his eyes filled with irritation. He could never understand why I was so obsessed with making all sorts of healthy soups and then finding ways to force him to drink them. I didn't explain. I just gave a soft and reminded him, don't drive if you've been drinking. If you're not back by 2, I'll come pick you up. The only answer I got was the angry slam of the door. Just give up. Nothing you do will ever work. The main alpha will never fall for you. A stream of words floated past my eyes. Ever since my wedding to Billy 2 years ago, these golden comments would pop up in my vision from time to time. They said Billy was the main alpha of this world, completely incapable of emotion at first. He would only learn to love after meeting his destined omega. His arranged marriage partner, on the other hand, would go insane from the unrequited love, not only drugging him in an attempt to force himself on him, but also hiring people to hurt the fated omega. In the end, he'd be locked away in a mental hospital and tortured by Billy. Originally, that arranged partner was supposed to be my D-class omega younger brother. But on the day of the engagement, he vanished without a word. So I stepped in at the last minute and married Billy. The comments said my brother ran away because he knew how the story was supposed to go. I took off my glasses and rubbed the bridge of my nose. As usual, I ignored the comments, grabbed my jacket, and drove to the bar to pick him up. Billy was in his usual VIP room. The door was cracked open, and I could vaguely hear him and his friends talking. Come on, Billy, just stay the night. I'll call over a few omegas. Nah, Billy can't. The warden at home won't let him stay out all night. TSK, TSK. So controlling. Must be insecure, right? I mean, Billy's a top-tier alpha, and he's just some beta. An old one, too. 6 years older than you, right, Billy? Don't talk about him. Billy, lounging back on the sofa with his legs crossed, kicked the guy who spoke. He frowned, annoyed. So damn annoying. He has to control this, has to control that. Just put up with it, man. Everyone knows he's just a placeholder. You really think your family would let you spend your whole life with a beta? Why should I have to put up with him? He tells me what to eat, when to sleep, even what clothes to wear. I'm so sick of it. Then just ignore him. Ha! My grandpa said something about repaying a debt. What if I ignore him and he runs off to tattle to the old man? Seriously, Billy, he seems to take good care of you. Why not just try to get along? Maybe you'll catch feelings after a while. It's only for a few years, anyway. Ugh, who could catch feelings for him? I hate people telling me what to do. Billy glanced at his phone, annoyed. It was 1:30 a.m. He stood up. I'm leaving. You heard him. He was forced to marry you because his grandpa owed your family. He can't stand you. He said he's sick of you. He will never, ever love you. I waited until Billy had left the room before stepping out from around the corner. Even though I'd always known Billy didn't like me, hearing him say it out loud felt like being plunged into an icy cavern. The blood in my veins went cold, and a sharp, stabbing pain bloomed in my chest. What's the point in forcing it? I told myself. He never liked you and he never will. Clinging to him will only make him hate you more. It's time to wake up. When Billy woke up the next morning, the clothes I usually laid out for him weren't on the bedside chair. When he went downstairs, the breakfast I always set out for him wasn't on the table. He checked his phone. I hadn't sent him a single message since yesterday. A knot of unease tightened in his stomach. He ran a hand through his hair, his eyes instinctively searching for me. He'd thought it was strange not seeing me when he first woke up, but now there was no breakfast waiting for him either. Come to think of it, I hadn't come back to the master bedroom to sleep last night. A strange anxiety began to creep in, and his dark, thick brows drew together in a frown. When I returned, I was a little surprised to see Billy still sitting at the dining table. I had specifically left that morning around the time he usually woke up to avoid him. I figured he would have eaten and left by now, but not only was he still here, he looked like he was waiting for someone. I glanced at the empty table. You haven't eaten yet? I asked. I was waiting for you, Billy said curtly, his arms crossed. Where were you so early in the morning? I didn't answer his question. Maria made breakfast. It's in the warming cabinet. You can just get it out. What's that supposed to mean? Billy's voice rose. I walked past him into the kitchen and took out only my own portion of breakfast. Billy stood sullenly in the doorway, watching me. From now on, you can eat without me if I'm not here, I said. Billy froze. In the beginning, I was the one who forced him to eat breakfast with me. He always thought I had some weird obsession with eating together. No matter how early or late he got up, I would always have breakfast ready and wait for him. 2 years had passed, and he'd grown accustomed to it without even realizing. Now that I was telling him he didn't have to eat with me anymore, he didn't feel liberated. Instead, an empty feeling hollowed out his chest. I was already sitting at the table. He snuck a glance at my expression. Are you mad? Billy came over, his tall frame looming beside the table. He sounded a bit stiff. You were the one who said I could go out drinking yesterday. No, I said, slowly swallowing a bite of my soup dumpling before tilting my head to look at him. Did you do something to make me angry? Billy's heart skipped a beat. He darted his eyes around nervously, then said defensively, How should I know what makes you angry? Last time you told me to go slower and I did, didn't I? I have no idea why you were so pissed, but you gave me the silent treatment all the next day. My face flushed hot. I glared at him, shocked and annoyed. First of all, you did not slow down. Second, when I told you to stop, you pretended you couldn't hear me. And third, we do not discuss this at the dinner table. I shot up from my chair, my appetite gone. I practically fled in embarrassment. The comments appeared again. I still can't accept it. The main alpha isn't supposed to sleep with the arranged marriage partner. Your Omega brother couldn't manage it in 2 years, so what tricks did you use? Snap out of it, my boy. I won't let you sleep with this evil cannon fodder. Billy's original marriage partner was my Omega brother, Caleb. He's a very timid person, and running away from his own wedding was the boldest thing he'd ever done. I doubt he would have demanded Billy fulfill his marital duties. I'm different. On our first night, I forced Billy to stay in the room. Since he'd agreed to the marriage, everything that came with it was a given. I remember when I pushed him onto the bed and climbed on top of him. Billy's first instinct was to turn his head away. When I forced his face back toward me and kissed him, the look of disbelief on his face was unforgettable. He was flushed with anger, but after arguing and losing, he finally accepted it through gritted teeth. I definitely heard him call me shameless. Thinking back on it now, I forced every single part of it. I'd convinced myself that Billy would slowly come to accept me, but I never considered that everything I was giving him was something he never wanted. After 2 days of confirming I was no longer keeping tabs on him, Billy started going out drinking every night. Sometimes he'd come back before 2, and sometimes he wouldn't come back at all. I didn't say a word. The atmosphere in the house grew more oppressive by the day. The comments, however, had been ecstatic lately. Yes, the main couple has finally met. Loving this hero saves the damsel scene. Know why the alpha hasn't been coming home at night? Ever heard of love at first sight? I wonder who's going to end up with no love and a one-way ticket to the psych ward? So hard to guess. I silently clenched the pages of the book in my hands. I knew that a few days ago, Billy had saved a waiter at the bar who was being harassed by a customer. The comments said that was his soulmate, an S-class Omega whose pheromones were a perfect 100% match with Billy's. They were destined for each other. For the first time, I chose the coward's way out. I didn't have the courage to find out if it was true. A few nights later, his friend called me suddenly, saying Billy was drunk and shouting that he wanted to go home, and asked if I could come get him. When I got to the bar, Billy was slumped back on the couch with his eyes closed, muttering nonsense. He was sprawled across the whole sofa, looking a little lonely. I went to pull him up. The moment I grabbed his hand, his eyes snapped open. When he saw it was me, he closed them again. I hauled him to his feet. He resisted for a moment, then slumped against my shoulder and started playing with my hair. Back home, I set Billy down on the sofa and got a hot towel to wipe his face. Billy sat there quietly, letting me clean him up. Then, in a very small voice, he asked, "Is there no soup today?" I froze for a second, my eyes dropping. Billy reached out and took my hand, giving it a little shake. "Please don't be mad anymore, okay?" He leaned his body against mine and started to kiss me. After a moment of pressing his lips to mine, he tentatively licked my upper lip, trying to part my mouth. "Ah, honey, you've got the wrong person. Got in a fight with the real love interest, went drinking, and now the evil side character is taking advantage. A classic soap opera move. Boo. I didn't come here to watch the homewrecker make out with the main character." I pushed Billy's head away forcefully and gave him a light smack on the head. "No kissing." He stared at me, looking completely bewildered, as if he'd suffered a great injustice. "Why not? Why? All of a sudden I can't kiss you or touch you. What kind of wife are you?" As he spoke, his temper flared. He stood up angrily, wrapped one arm around my waist, and cupped the back of my head with the other. "I'm gonna kiss you." Billy had never called me wife before. The person he was calling his wife, the person he wanted to kiss. Was it the fated partner the comments were always talking about? I pressed my hands against his chest, my face cold. I said no, MMPH. Billy's tongue took the opportunity to dart inside. His kiss was fiery, almost ravenous, as if he wanted to devour me whole. I pushed against his chest with both hands, but Billy didn't budge. I was shocked at how big the strength difference was between us. The lack of oxygen made me panic, but Billy's kiss only deepened. I bit down hard, but the taste of blood and the pain seemed to excite him even more. It wasn't until my body went limp that he finally loosened his grip. My vision went dark. I gasped for air for a long moment before I could breathe properly. When I looked up, Billy was staring at my face. "Babe," he smiled dazedly. Then his head drooped, and he leaned against me again, mumbling pitifully, Don't want me." A chill spread through my chest. Billy would never say these things to me. The person who could make him say something like that. I looked up toward the floating comments. That fated partner of Billy's. I want to meet him. The next afternoon, I sat in a coffee shop, looking at the bakery across the street. The comments said the main Omega was an orphan, working at the bakery during the day and as a waiter at night to pay for tuition. I watched the young man as he walked a customer out of the shop. He looked innocent and sweet, gentle and kind, the type of person who made you want to protect them. The complete opposite of me. The main alpha's here. Yes. He knows to apologize the day after a fight. You deserve a good partner, man. The young man's eyes widened slightly, and a happy smile spread across his face. He waved at someone in the distance and ran a few steps in that direction. My gaze followed his automatically. Billy nodded at the young man as he ran up. The young man said something, and a faint smile touched Billy's lips. He looked so much more relaxed than he ever did with me. They walked into the bakery together. Through the glass, I could vaguely see the young man directing Billy, having him grab flour one moment and knead dough the next. Billy was good-naturedly going along with it. After a while, the young man seemed to say something, and Billy pulled out his phone and typed a few things. A moment later, a message from Billy popped up on my phone. A friend of mine is coming to stay at the house for a while. Have someone get the guest room ready. I stood up, paid my bill, and walked out of the coffee shop. There was no point in watching any longer. When Billy got home, I was directing the movers. My pillows, blankets, clothes, and paintings were being carefully carried out of the master bedroom, one by one. What are you all doing? Billy stood at the top of the stairs, his face dark as he looked at me and the movers. I turned to him, my expression calm. You've always wanted to sleep alone, right? I figured while we're getting the guest room ready, I'd just move my things. I'll take the east guest room from now on. I won't bother you again. Billy's body went rigid. He just stared at me, stunned. A moment later, he kicked the banister. Fine, he roared. Move if you want to. Just don't come crying back to me. I ignored him and looked directly at the anxious-looking young man behind him. You must be Billy's friend. I've had the room prepared for you. It's on the west side of the second floor. Do you need me to show you the way? Oh, no thank you, the young man said, looking startled. He edged a step closer to Billy. Billy can take me. Then he added, Billy and I, we're more than just friends. I fell silent. The young man gently tugged on Billy's sleeve. Billy shot me a flat look before leading the young man up the stairs. As they passed me, I dug my nails into my palms and couldn't stop myself from saying, Did you run out of other houses? You had to bring him here? This is how arranged marriages work in our world. Are you just figuring that out now? Billy looked at me. What happened to not controlling me anymore? I shut my mouth, fighting back tears as I stepped aside to let them pass. See? They've only known each other a few days and the alpha is already bringing him home. Good, you know your place. Get out of the master bedroom. Now that the true partner is here, I'm warning you not to try any funny business. If you're nice to him now, maybe he'll put in a good word for you when the alpha locks you up in the asylum. A low, bitter laugh escaped my lips. There probably aren't many people in the world who can watch their lover walk step by step toward their fated destiny. Nor are there many who would walk a path they knew from the start would end in heartbreak. I pulled out my phone, found the contact for my divorce lawyer, and sent a message. I need you to draft a divorce agreement. At dinner, the young man sat between me and Billy. I acted perfectly normal, even making some pleasant small talk with him. Billy, probably not getting the reaction he wanted from me, slammed down his chopsticks halfway through the meal and stormed off. The young man looked flustered for a moment before getting up to follow him. The old butler, who had seen everything, sighed and handed me a small bottle of pills. Sir, you don't seem to have rested well these past few days. This is a newly developed sleeping pill, much more effective. If you really can't sleep, you might try one. Thank you. I covered my face with my hand and sighed, taking the bottle. The new sleeping pills were indeed very effective, but I was still woken up in the middle of the night by a strange sensation on my body. In a hazy state, I could feel my legs being pushed up, my waist being held tight, my neck being licked, and something familiar entering me. I struggled to open my eyes and could only see a mess of dark hair near my neck. Billy? I managed to lift a hand and give his shoulder a weak push. What are you doing here? Billy bit my collarbone and said, completely unapologetic, I went to the wrong room. Took me a second to process that. I'm the one who moved out, not you. How could you? I stopped. He wasn't trying to go to the master bedroom. So where was he going? Besides him, the only other people on the second floor were me and the young man. The answer was obvious. Billy was still kissing me messily, but my body had gone completely cold. Billy didn't hear me and leaned closer. What? Get out, I said, my voice like ice. Billy's pupils contracted, and a cold fury ignited in his eyes. He clamped a hand over my mouth and thrust deeper, hitting the very end of me. The pain was like a dagger splitting my torso open, and my whole body trembled. He pressed his lips to my ear and said viciously, "Let me teach you something. If you don't know how to talk, you should keep your mouth shut. You think I want to touch you? It's your own damn fault for trying to seduce me all the time. Stop pretending. Weren't you the one who kept talking about marital duties? What, regretting it now? I've never been more humiliated in my life than by you. And now you don't want me anymore? Fine. I never liked you anyway. I can find a dozen guys like you whenever I want." With every word, he thrusted harder. I could barely breathe. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I didn't know which hurt more, my body or my heart. All I could do was bury my face in the pillow and let my tears soak into the fabric. After that night, Billy and I began a cold war by unspoken agreement. He took the young man to every public gathering without a second thought, brazenly announcing his new partner. He made it clear he was completely done with me, even letting the young man take over my places in the house, the dining room, the study, and the master bedroom. My heart felt like it was soaking in a pool of venom, every beat sending a wave of excruciating pain through me. The comments celebrated the progress of the main couple's relationship and counted down the days until I was gone. During another dinner where Billy openly served the young man food while I sat there with a blank face, my phone rang. "Hello, is this Mr. Julian 1? Your brother, Mr. Caleb 1, has been in a car accident. He's at XX hospital. Are you able to come?" I shot to my feet, the chair scraping loudly against the floor behind me as I rushed for the door in a panic. Billy stood up too, his voice low. "Where are you going so late?" He blocked my path in a few steps, grabbing my arm. "What are you so panicked about? Who is so important that you'd get this worked up? It's none of your business." "Move," I said, yanking my arm free and walking out without a second's hesitation. By the time I got to the hospital, Caleb was out of surgery, sitting quietly in his bed with his head bandaged and his leg in a cast. The patient has a fractured leg and a mild concussion. He'll need to be hospitalized for a while. I listened to the nurse as I opened the door to his room. Caleb turned to look at me, his lip trembling as he called out pitifully, "Bro." I glanced at him and sat down by the bed. "Bro," Caleb called out again, hesitantly, before lowering his head and apologizing in a small voice. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you marry him instead of me. I was just so scared. I saw. If I had stayed, I would be dead by now. Bro, you were always stronger than me. I just thought if it were you, you wouldn't have ended up like that." He was rambling. When he finished, he looked at me cautiously. "Can you not tell Mom and Dad I'm here? I'm afraid they'll make me switch places with you again." I crossed my arms and looked at him. "Don't worry. The Hua family isn't something you can just swap in and out of. But you're a beta, bro. The Hua family won't let their heir stay with a beta forever. Will they?" I was a bit surprised he would say something like that. "You seem to have changed a lot these past 2 years," I said slowly. "You still think he's some cute, innocent little brother? In the story, he's the vicious supporting villain. How innocent could he be? In the original plot, he would have been tortured to death in a mental hospital by now. He must be pretty bitter seeing you're okay. He thinks you're living the good life and wants to switch back with you." I paused, then asked him directly, "Do you still want to leave? Bro, I really miss your soup. Could you bring me some food these next few days?" Caleb changed the subject. Just then, the divorce lawyer I'd hired sent over the finalized agreement. "Mr. 1, I've sent you the revised divorce papers." I put my phone down and looked at him for a long moment before nodding. "Fine. Whatever. Billy and I were getting divorced anyway. Whatever he wanted to do was between him and Billy." By the time I finished dealing with the accident, it was already dark outside. I was exhausted and couldn't face going back to the house with Billy and that young man. I found a random hotel and checked in for the night. The next day, when I got home, Billy was blocking the doorway, a thunderous expression on his face. I walked right past him toward the kitchen. The fridge was well stocked. I scanned the ingredients and decided to make a vegetable and pork bone soup for Caleb. Billy had been following me since I walked in, his tall, muscular frame casting an oppressive shadow. He was intimidating enough to make anyone with less nerve burst into tears. I couldn't help but scold him. Don't just stand there in the way. Billy's expression softened slightly, and he took a small step back, but he still didn't leave my side. I pulled a thermos from the cabinet and packed the soup and the meal our housekeeper had made into separate containers. Billy reached for the thermos, but I dodged back, avoiding his outstretched hand. For a moment, Billy just stood there, stunned. You don't like soup, do you? This isn't for you. I paused, then added, if you don't like it, I won't make you drink it anymore. Billy's mouth opened as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. Billy, the young man called from the second floor. There's a problem I don't understand. Can you help me with it? A pang of pain shot through my chest. I gripped the thermos tighter, my knuckles turning white. Billy was looking at me. I tried to keep my voice steady. Go on. There's something I need to talk to you about tomorrow. The next morning, Billy and I sat across from each other in the study. After a moment of silence, why did you stop caring about me? Let's get a divorce. Billy and I spoke at almost the exact same time. What did you say? Billy was the first to react. I took a deep breath. I said, let's get a divorce. No, that's not how this goes. Billy shot to his feet, agitated. I won't allow it. No, I will not agree to this. I slid the divorce papers I'd prepared across the table to him. I said in a low voice, the courts don't even recognize a union between an alpha and a beta. If one party requests a dissolution, the application becomes effective in 1 month, whether the other party agrees or not. It was a convenience originally designed for alphas, for those who impulsively married a beta only to meet their true omega love later, making it easy to shed their inconvenient ex. Besides, why would you refuse? You hate me, don't you? I continued slowly. Billy stared at me, gritting his teeth, his gaze hot enough to burn a hole through me. You're really going through with this? Yes. I lowered my eyes. Whether you sign or not is just a matter of time. If both parties signed the agreement, the marriage would be void immediately. If not, it would just be delayed by a month. Billy snatched the papers and tore them to shreds, then slammed the door on his way out. What's wrong with you, man? Come back and sign the papers. Stop being with this evil guy. It's all your fault. Why did you have to be the one to bring up divorce? Did you know it would hurt his pride and make him refuse? Ugh, I knew it. Playing hard to get, right? Trying to act special? You manipulative bitch, go die. I said nothing. I just submitted the divorce application to the Marriage Regulation Bureau. About 2 weeks later, Billy sat in a VIP room at the bar, looking miserable as he poured drink after drink for himself. He'd been like this for over 10 days. What's your problem now? You're a top-tier alpha, he's just a beta. You knew from the start it wouldn't last, right? Yeah, Billy. Didn't you always want a divorce? It's better that he brought it up. Now you don't have to worry about what your grandpa will say. I say it's for the best. You'll meet a more suitable omega eventually. Wait, don't you have one with you right now? Want us to call him over? The door to the room swung open again. Guys, guess who I just saw outside? Julian. And he was pushing some pretty boy in a wheelchair. They looked pretty close. Billy shot to his feet. I was pushing Caleb's wheelchair into the hotel where he'd been hiding out, just as he'd asked. I was about to press the elevator button. A large hand suddenly clamped down on my shoulder. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Don't you have anything to explain? Billy's other arm wrapped around my waist, and he leaned in close, his voice low. I smiled. Explain what? Weren't you the one who said this is how arranged marriages in our world work? Billy's hand on my shoulder tightened. Come back with me. I don't think so. I looked down and tried to pry his fingers off my waist. Since you found someone you like, I won't get in your way. Billy ran a hand through his hair in frustration. It's not like that between us. Bro, is this Billy? Caleb tugged on my sleeve. Billy, please don't misunderstand. I'm his younger brother. Billy and I both turned to look at Caleb. Seeing his innocent expression, I slowly tightened my fist. No wonder Caleb had insisted on coming to this hotel today to pack his things. It was right near the bar Billy always went to. Since Caleb was determined to return to his destiny, I stepped aside. "This is Caleb," I said flatly. "Your original fiancé." Caleb immediately cooed, "Hi, Billy." Billy was still staring at me, pulling on my wrist to drag me away. "We're going home." He was pulling so hard that my wrist was already turning red. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and slapped him across the face. "Are you sober now?" I demanded. Caleb and Billy's friends who had just arrived all froze. "Stand up straight." I pulled my arm back and stood before him with my arms crossed, my face cold. "Do you not understand what I'm saying?" Billy stood in front of me with his head bowed, his eyes slightly red. I looked at his friends. "Take him home," I said coldly. They shuffled over and hesitantly tugged on his arm. Billy didn't move. I shot him a warning glare. Billy's lips tightened as his friends slowly pulled him away down the hall. I walked back to Caleb, who immediately flinched and sat up straighter. Only the comments were still in an uproar. "How could you hit our boy's face, you vicious man? Look, our sweet Omega is so worried about the mark on the alpha's face. He's getting medicine for him, he's so good. Hey, does that medicine induce a rut? I think our boy is going into his rut." I stared at the word rut on the screen, and my heart felt like it had been physically ripped out of my chest. I stared blankly at my phone, which remained silent, feeling my last shred of hope crumble. Of course, he has someone better by his side now. He doesn't need me anymore. An alpha's rut lasts for 7 days. On the 6th day, a message appeared on my phone. "Can you come to the Hua estate? Billy's in danger." I immediately drove over, worried sick about what could have happened to him. For once, the comments were completely silent, no matter what I asked. When I arrived, I could see his childhood friends gathered anxiously at the main gate from a distance. As soon as I got out of the car, they rushed to meet me. "You're finally here. Quick, we'll explain on the way." Billy went into his rut. At first, he was just nesting with your clothes and blankets and managed for a few days, but then he couldn't hold on anymore and started hurting himself. We couldn't just watch, so we had that Omega he found go in and try, but Billy suddenly attacked him. He nearly killed the kid. Now he's completely lost it and will attack anyone who gets close. But he keeps calling your name, so we thought we'd ask you to try. He's locked in here. Are you sure you want to go in? They led me to a heavy, steel-plated door. Just as I stopped in front of it, a loud bang came from inside, and the whole house seemed to shake. The friends looked at me, anxious and scared. I was surprisingly calm. I just nodded. "Open it." The second the door cracked open, a hand shot out and yanked me inside. The heavy steel door slammed shut with a deafening thud. 3 days later, a lucid Billy carried me out, unconscious. Even though I was wrapped in a sheet, the skin that was visible was a dense patchwork of purple and blue kiss marks and bites. Even my dangling fingers were covered in teeth marks. It was a shocking sight. Billy's friends, who had been waiting outside, gathered around. "I'm taking him to another room," Billy said, his voice hoarse. "Get the doctor." The family doctor was waiting downstairs. After the doctor had treated my injuries and started in 4, Billy carefully lay down beside me, gently wrapping his arms around me. I was out for another 2 days. The moment I opened my eyes, Billy's worried face was right there. I looked at him carefully for a long moment, making sure he was okay, before saying in a raspy voice, "Get out." Billy didn't leave. He just picked up a glass of warm water from the nightstand and helped me drink it, sip by sip. "The marriage bureau sent a message to your phone yesterday," he said, holding my hand gently. "It's a reminder that if you don't withdraw the application within 3 days, the divorce will be finalized." He looked at me and asked, "Do you still want to divorce me?" I leaned against the headboard and gave a barely perceptible nod. "Why don't you want me?" Billy's eyes were red, and he looked utterly pathetic. "Why did you suddenly decide you don't want me anymore?" "The fundamental reason we're separating is that you don't love me," I told him. "You don't want me to leave right now simply because you're used to having me around." I asked him, "Does your heart race when you see me? Do you get anxious when I'm not here? Have you ever once thought about spending the rest of your life with me?" Billy looked at me strangely, as if he couldn't understand why I was asking these things. But he nodded with absolute certainty. I was suddenly confused. Didn't they say the main alpha doesn't understand love before he meets his destined omega? He doesn't. He never once told the evil side character that he loved him. He just doesn't understand it, not that he can't feel it. But you hate it when I control you, don't you? I asked, hesitating. No, I don't hate you controlling me. Billy denied it vehemently. If I really hated it, I would have fought back a long time ago. I wouldn't have listened to everything you said. Holy crap, now that I think about it, he complained about the guy, but he did everything he was told. I was stunned. It was true. But that Omega, I saved him at the bar once by chance. Right around then, you suddenly stopped paying attention to me. I wanted to make some sweets you like to apologize, and he works at that bakery, so I ran into him again. Billy glanced at me cautiously as he explained. The bar owner said he knows a lot about relationships, so I asked him for advice. He said you were probably getting tired of me, and that I could make you jealous to keep your interest so you wouldn't dump me. A stream of question marks and exclamation points flooded the comments. Is that so? I said, drawing out the words. Wait, you're not going to forgive him, are you? Okay, so we misled you, but is he completely blameless? I reached out and tilted his chin up. Do you hate me? I asked. Billy shook his head frantically. Then do you like me? He nodded obediently against my hand, looking at me with hopeful eyes. But you made me very unhappy, I said, so I'm not withdrawing the divorce application. All the color seemed to drain from Billy's face, and he gripped my hand tightly. However, I said slowly, once I'm single again, you can try to win me back. So be on your best behavior, you understand? I patted his cheek. Billy nodded eagerly, terrified I would change my mind. I came to realize later that Billy's emotional immaturity was deeply connected to the absence of his parents and the strict upbringing from his grandfather during his first 20 years. He clumsily learned how to love from me. Sometimes I missed that period when he didn't know what love was, if only because he wasn't so demanding all the time. When Billy found out about this, he even learned to be jealous of his past self. That's a little hard to handle. So I have to constantly reassure him that I will always love the him of today, the one who is with me in this very moment, the most.